What's up, everybody? Benji Bruce here, Speaking Lifestyle. Today, we're going to talk about the key to getting gigs consistently. The key word in there is consistently. So let's see who's hopping on real quick. Anybody can get a gig, get a speaking gig in general. Anybody can get a gig through referrals, however you want to get gigs. Anybody can get a speaking gig. But to get gigs consistently, that requires a whole new level of thinking, a whole new level of doing. So that's what I want to talk about in terms of consistency, because I remember when I was trying to get gigs, and what would happen is I would get a gig and I'd be all excited as all hell. Yeah, I'm the bomb diggity. Then I couldn't figure out how to get another gig. I was thinking, all right, how do I get another gig and then another gig and another gig? And it was a matter of how do I get gigs consistently? So you'll get one gig and then you don't really know what to do to get the next gig. So I really want to talk about consistency. So what's up, Nick? What's up, Dan? What's up, Glenn? What's up, Peeps? Nitro? So yeah, like I said, today I just want to talk about consistency in terms of just getting on stages in general. The questions you should be asking yourself should be very different than what most people are asking. What's up, Wani? Okay, something weird happened here on the screen. What's up, Paul? What's up, Takemia? I think that's how I say it, Takemia. All right. Yeah, so essentially the questions that you should be asking yourself should be very different than the questions most people ask. So a lot of people ask questions like, who do I contact and what do I say? So you shouldn't really be asking those questions. You should have systems that are already built out to know what those answers are. So the problems that you should be asking are similar problems to what Dave has asked. So Dave, in case you guys don't know who he is, he's a guy who joined the program and then within a year did almost $250,000, right? And so what Dave, he's asking very different questions because of the level of activity that he's engaging in. So he's asking questions like, hey, I'm getting way too many follow-up tasks. What do I do? So it's like way too many follow-up tasks inside of the CRM. How do I hone this thing? And then he also said, he also posted just recently how he sent so many emails that his server, the hosting company, is saying, hey, you got to pay us more because you're running out of space. And so he's like, what do I do? What do I do? And so those are the problems that you want to have. Those are the questions you want to have. You don't want to keep asking yourself questions like, oh, who do I contact? What do I say? Those are the questions that people ask. They've been asked those questions to themselves for months, probably years. Who do I contact? What do I say? If you keep asking yourself those questions, you simply aren't doing anything. That's literally why you would ask that question. Like, hey, who do I contact? What do I say? It's just because you're literally not doing anything. And when you're not doing anything, you're not going to get booked. So let's really talk about consistency in terms of getting on stages, just consistently, repeatedly, getting the 50 gigs a year or however many gigs you want. Back in the day, I just tried to stick between 50 and 70. So that's what I was trying to do. So like I said, in terms of the questions, but ultimately what you want to do, in case you don't realize yet, you have to build your outreach process. To all you Speak Pro Academy members, you already have the outreach process. You know how you're going to do it, but you have to build that outreach system. In terms of the emails, it has to be predictable. And this is why, let me show you the screen here. So this is why let me go here. All right, let's let this thing pop up. Let's go to the pipeline here. So you need to build a predictable outreach process. So your outreach process is predictable, nonstop, 24/7, and you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's literally what you're doing. You're just building a predictable process. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you ask the questions, and then I'll answer the questions later on. I noticed that, so I see people hopping on, but then it only shows... On my end, it shows like nobody's here, but I see people here. All right, let's see. I'm just thinking something's wrong with this iPad. Okay. All right. So once again, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you ask questions. I don't know if this thing is freezing up or what, but once again, you got to build. Let me show you the screen again. You got to build a predictable outreach process just like this in terms of you know exactly how you're going to find events. You know exactly what you're going to say to them. If they don't respond, you know exactly what you're going to say when they don't respond. If they don't respond to that, you know exactly what you're going to say after that. So you build a predictable outreach process and you follow that process each and every time. There is never a moment when you don't follow the process. You follow the process each and every single time. So I can't stress that enough. The outreach process, the way you make it predictable is based on your level of activity. This is why someone like Dave, in terms of him hitting like $250,000 in that first year, this is why he was able to do it, because of his level of activity. It was high and it was consistent. So he was constantly sending out emails, and obviously in terms of what he just recently posted inside the group, like, hey man, I'm sending out so many freaking emails that the hosting company is telling me I got to pay him more because I'm taking up too much space on the server. So when you get problems like that, that's when you generate revenue. The problems you should have in your business should be very different than somebody else basically starting and kind of hoping and praying that they're going to make things happen. So I really, really can't stress that enough. You have to know how to do cold calling, cold emailing. I mean, maybe not cold calling, but you got to know one of them. You got to know at least one of them, whether it's cold calling, cold emailing. You got to know how to reach out to people. And this is where I was talking with someone yesterday, and she was talking about like building her brand. And she was like, oh man, she was asking questions. She's like, how do you not get overwhelmed with all this stuff? And I told her, I said, well, that can be a course all in just by itself, to be honest. And the reason why I don't mind sharing so much is because the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. And so when you learn, it's almost like you didn't realize how deep the rabbit hole goes. You're sitting there, you're learning stuff. You don't realize like, damn, there's so much that I don't know that it's just going to take you too long to figure it out yourself. And so it's one of the reasons why I don't mind telling people, hey, here's the subject lines we use for cold email. Here's this, because I know the rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper and deeper. You have to master the ability to do cold emailing, cold calling, reaching out somehow, whether it's on Instagram, you're sending Instagram DMs, Facebook messages, however you want. You have to learn how to do it the right way. I can't remember who inside the group. There was another Speak Pro member inside the group who talked about publicity. And with publicity, so I told him the software that the PR pros use. Like I'm talking about PR pros who do PR for celebrities. I told him about the software, but it's an expensive ass software. I mean, it starts at $5,000 a year. So it's an expensive ass software. And she wanted to do just publicity. So I told her like, hey, if you're just doing local publicity, you don't really need that software. If you want to do international stuff, you want to go big time, go big or go home, you get that software. But if you're just doing local, all you do is you just find the producer's name, find their contact info, and reach out to them. You have to master the ability to reach out to people, whether you're reaching out for publicity, reaching out to sell a program, reaching out to sell your speech. You have to learn how to reach out to people, and you have to learn the details. This is why the Jordan Belfort guy. So in case you don't know who he is, he's the Wolf of Wall Street. They made the movie about him with Leonardo DiCaprio, and he basically created this cold calling system, or not. Yeah, I don't know if it's cold calling, but basically he created a sales system in terms of persuasion and how to do the phone calls, right? And so his system is really, really detailed. He goes into how you use your tone. So I remember just watching a video where he was talking about how to actually use a tone, and you can even see Leonardo DiCaprio do it in the movie where I don't even remember the exact words, but he's saying like, I've got a great, like, or what is it? He's like, hey, Jake, yeah, I see that, you're this is Benji Bruce with so-and-so, stock company. How's your day going today? Oh, it's going good. All right. I've actually got a really, really secret stock that I want to sell you. And he like gets all quiet and stuff, whispers. He's like, it's going to just blow your mind. It's going to make you so much. And then people just listen to him because he's like whispering. So Jordan Belfort, he pays attention to tonality in the calls. That's why his persuasion method is really, really good when you're doing cold calls, because it's all about the details, and you have to learn the details of what you're doing. If you're doing cold email, you got to learn details in terms of how do I not get blacklisted? You got to learn the details in terms of sounding in demand. You got to learn the details of how you specifically are going to find events in your industry. You got to learn the details of that stuff, because just reaching out to somebody, just sending them an email, it doesn't really do anything. People always do it the wrong way in the beginning. So you have to truly learn how to do that. All right? And once again, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you ask, and I'll go back to the questions. The other thing in terms of actually getting consistent gigs, this may sound basic, but you have to be consistent. This is the number one reason why speakers are not getting gigs. You can literally ignore everything I just said, having a system in place, all that. So, well, you can't ignore the outreach, but you can ignore almost everything I just said in terms of mastering outreach. ignore all that. If you're just consistent, you will get on stages. That's what I did in the beginning. The only reason I got on stages in the beginning, it wasn't because I had a badass website. I mean, my website, it was decent for the times. Nowadays, if I look back at it, it's horrible. But for the times, it was pretty decent. In fact, I thought I was badass at the time. But I didn't have a badass website. I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I was reaching out to events. Didn't know if it sounded right. Didn't know a damn thing. But I was so consistent that it was inevitable. I mean, me getting on a stage was inevitable because of the amount of activity I was engaged in and how consistent I was. Literally, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do a live when my friend is over here, because my friend is actually coming over this weekend. Maybe I'll do a live with him on the weekend, and I'll have him tell you guys a story, because I was living with him and his wife, and literally I would wake up, do cold emailing all day, go to sleep. That's it. That was literally all I did all day, every day. It was just a matter of consistency. And so you have to ask yourself, how many events are you talking to on a daily basis? If you're talking to 5 events on a daily basis, 10 events on a weekly basis, it's not going to happen. It's literally not going to happen. You'll be lucky to book a gig a year. Like literally you'll be lucky to do that. Maybe 2 gigs a year. And so it's just a matter of being consistent with it and having the high level of activity. This is why I tell people to buy CRM and actually look at the reports inside of your CRM. So you have to, it's not about the level of activity you think you're engaging in. It's about the level of activity you actually are engaging in. So remember, I mentioned this a while ago when I was doing cold calls. So first I started with cold calling, then I switched to emails. But when I did cold calling, I thought I was talking to so many people in a day. I mean, I'm sitting there, I would call and I'm like, oh, bam. All right, cool. Bam. And I'm going through all these numbers. I'm literally after the day, I'm thinking, man, I probably talked to about, I don't know, if I were to guess 500 people. I mean, that's what I was thinking. And then I looked at the actual numbers in terms of how many people I really talked to on the phone, like had a conversation with. And I saw it was 13 people. I'm thinking, what the? And it was just because the level of activity I was engaging in, it felt like I was doing a lot, but I wasn't getting a lot done with the actual conversations. And so it's one of the reasons why I switched to cold emailing. But the reason why you need to have the CRM with the reporting and have something like Yesware and all that with reporting is because it tells you the reality of your situation. When people tell me they're busy, I know they don't make money. Like when someone says I'm busy, I'm like, yeah, that dude's broke. Because busy people, they're just jumping up and down. They're not doing anything. They're just jumping up and down. There's no movement. There's no momentum. They're literally just a hamster on a wheel. They're running in circles. That's all they're doing when you're busy. And so in order for you to create the momentum, you have to be consistent in terms of what exactly you're trying to accomplish. You got to understand the level of activity you're truly engaging in. You can't sit there and say, oh, I'm pretty sure I contacted 100 events. You can't do that. You have to literally go into your reporting and say, how many events did I contact yesterday? All right. Yesterday it was 73. Okay. The day before that it was 82. So you literally have to do that. That is why I tell Speak Pro members, all right, post your numbers, record your numbers. You truly, truly have to do that. And once again, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you ask them, because when I'm done with this, we're going to be done. All right. And so let's see. Oh, I just mentioned that in terms of the CRM. Okay. Yeah. So I put in here like, hey, you can fake it with other people, but you can't fake it with reality. So many people are trying to fake it. And I understand the whole fake it till you make it mindset. A lot of super successful people will tell you don't fake it till you make it. I'm not one of them. I'm like, hey, I faked it in the beginning and I made it. Shit. So I'm not one of them. But there is a point where you go too far faking it. So many people fake the wrong things. It's like in LA. You go to LA, damn near everybody who's driving a Mercedes, Lamborghini, or whatever, they're all broke as all hell. They're not driving their cars. If anything, they're driving their parents' cars. They're not driving their cars. They're broke as all hell. So they're faking the wrong things. On the other hand, what I faked was very deliberate. So for example, when I went to a hotel, I would go to a hotel and I would actually perform for people, and I would pull out my phone and get a testimonial. Or what was that? The flip thing. I would get the small flip camera. So I would pull out one of those and I'd get a testimonial. But what I did is I would tell them, hey, say your name and say the company you worked for. And then I would get the testimonial. So they would say, my name is Sergey Brin. I work for Google. I just saw Benji Bruce. That was freaking amazing. And I knew the impression that was giving off. I knew it sounded like I just did a presentation for Google, even though I didn't. I just saw a guy in the lobby, just perform for him. I knew what that impression was doing to the people who saw my website. That's the type of faking that I recommend. I don't suggest you just fake it just to fake it. But you have to truly engage in real activity, because if you're faking it for other people just to fake it, there's no reason behind it. So there has to be a reason. Like the other example in terms of how I faked it was when I looked at another mentalist's website. This is a guy out in the UK. He's like the David Copperfield, the David Blaine out there, and he's a huge time mentalist. So I went on his website and I'm just looking around, and I just see on the contact page it said, for corporate inquiries, contact this email. For media inquiries, contact this email. And the first thing that popped into my head was like, damn, this dude, he gets so many TV appearances or so much media contacting him that he literally needs a separate email address just for the media inquiries. I was like, damn. And that's when it hit me. I said, oh, I'm doing that on my website. And so I put that on my website. I said, for corporate inquiries, contact this email. For media inquiries, contact this email. I was like, oh shoot, I'm doing that. There was a very deliberate reason for me to do that. For everything I did, I wasn't faking it just to fake it. So there were things that I was very deliberate about. So you can fake it with other people, but you can't fake it with reality. This is why when I say to people, how are you getting gigs? And they say, oh, referrals. How's business? Oh, business is great. Oh my goodness. Never been better. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, right. Because I just know that they're simply faking it to me, but in reality, they're not actually getting on a stage. They're not actually making any money. So it's really, really important that you understand that there's a level of fake it till you make it that is acceptable. And then there's a level that's just stupid. You don't want to be in the stupid level. You want to be in the acceptable level. I'm telling you, all these super successful people who keep saying fake it till you make it doesn't work or you shouldn't do it, they're flat out lying to you. Damn near every single one of them they've done it to an extent. They don't do it to an extent that the people like in LA do, to where they're just faking everything, or a lot of people online do, where they just go, I don't know, rent a place, rent a mansion or whatever, then film a couple videos, and then they go back to their little 300 square foot apartment. So they don't do it to that extent, but they do something like what I did with the videos and with the 4 media inquiries. They do things like that because there is, perception is reality. So it does influence people. Just understand that you can't fake it with reality. So when you are reaching out to events, when you're actually doing this stuff, you have to look at the reality of the situation. How many events did you contact yesterday, the day before, the week before, the month before? How many are you contacting on a daily basis? You can tell me, you can tell other people, whatever number you want, but if it doesn't match up to reality, then your results won't match up either. So just keep that in mind. And then you need to understand in terms of getting consistent gigs, it's a matter of follow-up. I was reading the book by Ryan Serhant. He's like one of the top real estate agents, and he was he had like a TV show, had or has, I don't know which one, but basically he was talking about how when real estate agents contact him and they say, hey, I want to work with you. Hey, I want to work with you. You're like one of the top real estate agents in New York. He ignores them, and he just flat out ignores them. Despite, like, even if he wants to work with them, if he looks them up, he's like, oh, this person seems great. He just ignores them. The reason he does that is because he knows that the money is in the follow-up. So he says, okay, I'm going to ignore this realtor who wants to work with me. And if they follow up with me, like a lot, that means they're going to follow up with clients a lot. So he ignores them to see, are they going to follow up? If they don't follow up with him, he's just going to say, well, they're not going to follow up with everybody else, so I'm not going to hire them. And so the reason why so many speakers don't get on stages is because they just don't follow up enough. There is, inside the Speak Pro Academy, if you go into the Event Finder section, you'll see a real email conversation. And I listed the dates of the email conversation. The reason I listed the date of the actual emails is because I want to show you how long it took to book that gig. It took, I don't know, like 8 months or something to book that gig. Just 8 months of follow-up to book that one gig. That's what you have to do. So what speakers do is they'll send out an email. They'll say, oh man, I sent out 100 emails. Nobody booked me. Well, of course. And I tell people there's that whole lag time. What you're doing is you're planting seeds. When you reach out to people, you can't expect to get that gig at least like 8 months from now. So you're constantly reaching out to events because a lag time is going to happen. It just hit me over and over and over again because every time I contacted people, Literally several months later, they would finally say, oh yeah, we're interested. And a lot of times I would forget who they were. I'm sitting there thinking like, who is this person again? Like what? I contacted them. And so that's what I'm thinking. Then I look inside the CRM and I see, oh yeah, I contacted them freaking 7 months ago. And so the reason why so many speakers aren't getting gigs consistently is because there's zero follow up. And then on top of that, they do things like, I don't know what to say and all that. The reason they don't know what to say is because they're not doing anything. They're not engaging in the level of activity they need to engage in. If all you do is just contact people nonstop, you will be ahead of the game of 99% of the speakers. And then once you start contacting them, you do it in a systematic way like Speak Pro Academy, but you have to truly, truly learn to follow up. It has to be very systematic. Like what I showed you guys earlier in terms of the pipeline thing, it has to be very systematic. You follow it each and every time. I'll show you the pipeline again in case you guys haven't seen it. So the pipeline, remember, you follow up each and every time. It's like, all right, send out email number 1. They don't respond. Bam, follow up. And then let's say you get all the way to the point where they say, what do you charge? They're now incoming lead. You ask questions. If they don't respond, follow up, all that sort of stuff. So you're always following up with the leads. You have the system in place. You set it up one time, then you're good to go. Then it's just a matter of execution. That's all you're literally doing. What did I say here? Don't let up. Oh, yeah. So here's another thing that happens. The reason why a lot of speakers aren't getting gigs consistently is because they let up. And what I mean by that is this is something that I did several times. It's something that I think damn near every speaker does it in the beginning at least. What happens is, let's say you get a gig. Let's say you're reaching out, you get a gig. Or let's say you just get a gig through referrals or however you want to get gigs. You just get a gig. You get a gig, and then all of a sudden, instead of still reaching out to events, instead of still contacting events, you let up. Instead of contacting 100 events a day, now you say, well, I got a gig. I got to practice my presentation. Oh, I got to practice my presentation. The gig is 2 months from now. I got to practice my presentation. What? That doesn't make any sense. And so what happens is speakers, they'll let up. They'll sit there and say, they'll make an excuse in terms of practicing the presentation, getting ready for the gig. It's 2-3 months away from now. And in those 2-3 months, they won't make a single cold call, a single cold email. They won't reach out in any sort of way. And so that is why it's very inconsistent. They'll all of a sudden get a gig. Bam, they'll stop doing the marketing. They won't actually reach out. And then bam, everything dries up and now their schedule is a ghost town. So it's really, really important that you don't do that. You don't do things like, oh, I got to work on my website. So you work on your website, you build your website. Let's say it takes you a week. Let's say you don't know anything about websites. It takes you a week, maybe 2 to build your website. That's all you do for 2 weeks straight maximum. Get the website up. Now you're good to go in terms of reaching out to events. You're not going back every single day saying, all right, I got to do my website. I got to update the website. You're not doing that every single day. You do it maybe every Sunday, like for an hour or two every single Sunday, and every other day of the week you're reaching out to events. I can't stress this part enough. I did this several times. When I would book a gig, I'd be like, all right, well, I just got to practice my presentation. And it's just an excuse. That's all it is. So that's why it's really, really important that you're aggressive in terms of being consistent. If you want to get gigs consistently, you have to be aggressive in terms of how you think and then what you do. A lot of speakers are thinking, oh, what if I follow up too much and things like that? It doesn't really matter. It's better to follow up too much than too little. Because when you follow up too much, you're still going to get more gigs than if you followed up too little. And of course, there is a point where you can follow up too much. There is a point where you will be annoying as all hell. People are going to be like, dude, stop sending me freaking emails. You're getting on my nerves. And there is that point. But it's better to have that response than to have no response, because no response means you're just not doing anything. So you have to truly, truly be aggressive, because what you're doing is you're underestimating what it takes. And I don't just mean in getting speaking gigs. I mean in everything. You're completely underestimating what it takes to get what you want. If you want to make $1 million, I'm telling you right now, you're underestimating what it takes. It's like what I said earlier when I was talking with a friend, where she was talking about building her brand. And I told her, I was like, look, the reason why I don't mind telling people so much stuff is because they don't understand how deep the rabbit hole goes. When you start learning stuff, you realize how much you don't actually know. So in the beginning, people say, let's say with speaking, get into speaking gigs. Say, okay, I want to get speaking gigs. What do I need to do to get speaking gigs? Well, all you got to do is have a website and reach out to events. Okay, cool. Let me go build my website. They build a website. Let's say get it up in a week. Bam, got a website. All right, now let me learn about reaching out to events. All right, what do I do to reach out to events? All right, you said cold email. Okay. Well, cold email, what do I got to do? Oh, get a CRM. Okay. Well, how do I work a CRM? What exactly does a CRM do? So you got to learn the technology of a CRM. And you got to learn lead score, sales cadence, all that stuff. Okay, you finally learned that. Now you got to learn to reach out to events. Well, how exactly do you find the events? Like hundreds a day. And what exactly do you say to them? What if they don't respond? Then how do you actually sound in demand? And how do you make sure you're not getting blacklisted when you send out emails? All this stuff. It's like the more you learn, the deeper the rabbit hole goes. And then you realize like, damn. And then on top of that, the time management as well. It's like, how do you manage your time? How do you wake up every single day getting out of that mindset of, I don't really feel like it? Like, how do you get out of that mindset? Little things like that. People don't understand how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is why everybody thinks they can do it by watching a YouTube video, by just going to YouTube, watching free stuff. And it's one of the reasons why gurus and everybody just kind of laugh at it. Like, sure, you can try, but it's going to take you 10 years, just like it did damn near everybody else who did the same thing. And so that's just what happens. Every second that you spend not talking to somebody is wasting your time. I can't stress that part enough. Seconds that you spend finding email addresses, finding events, working on your website, everything you do except literally talking to somebody is wasting your time. You have to decrease the amount of time that you spend on finding emails, finding events, working on your website. You have to decrease that time as much as possible to a point where all you're doing is literally talking to events. Decrease that as much as possible. That's how you're going to get the gigs consistently. All right. And so, let's see. Okay. So I wrote too much here. I want to get paid, but don't understand why people pay anything about it from your perspective, less money. What the hell all right. So basically, if things still aren't working, there's something you are doing wrong. When business doesn't work, what happens is, let's say we're trying to sell something and things aren't working. We always blame something else. Whether it's we blame outreach, cold emailing, we blame cold email, we blame cold calling. Nobody picks up their phone nowadays. Cold emailing, oh my goodness, cold email doesn't work. I mean, I never answer cold emails. Whatever it is, we always blame that other thing. We blame everything except ourselves. There's so much power in blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong, even things that do not make sense. If, let's say, you live in Florida and all of a sudden there's a freaking hurricane and you can't do anything. You're like, oh man, freaking the internet went down and all. You're like, damn, Benji, you're talking about 100 a day. I can't do 100 a day, man. The freaking hurricane came out of nowhere and then bam, everything just went down. Well, it's still your fault. The reason I say that is because you know a hurricane's coming. They're going to tell you, hey, hurricane so-and-so's coming your way. You got to do something about it. You got to say, okay, well, what if I just go take a vacation to LA for a weekend or however long this hurricane's going to, what if I just go to LA real quick for a weekend? I just take my laptop there and then bam, I'm good to go. So you gotta truly blame yourself for everything. When you blame yourself for everything, you control damn near anything in your radius. So that's why you truly want to blame yourself for everything. What? I'm not even saying that dumb thing. Don't even know what the heck I was saying it. So, the reason a lot of speakers aren't getting gigs consistently is because they're thinking too much from their perspective. And this is just marketing in general. When you think from your perspective, you're less likely to sell anything. This is why I keep telling speakers when they say, here's what I'm an expert in, or here's what my topic is, how do I find speeches on this, or how do I find events on this? Say, that's not really what you want to do. You want to essentially find the events first and then look to see what exactly do they pay for. That's how you really want to do it, because when you're thinking from your perspective, you're damn near guaranteed to justify whatever it is you're thinking. So no matter what you want to sell, you are guaranteed, your brain, it can justify anything. Your brain can literally say, here's what I want to talk about. Oh yeah, I see this. People are this is what they're truly interested in. Yeah, I can go talk at this event. Little do you know, that's the only damn event you can probably talk at with your topic. So what you have to do is you have to reverse everything. You have to truly get inside of their head. So it's just a matter of saying the right things to the right audience. And this is why reaching out to events, it's like if you're reaching out to high schools, your outreach is going to be a little bit different. Your outreach is going to focus more on, you have to truly emphasize the fact that you're not boring, because the principal, the teachers, they're going to think like, damn, if this speaker is just a little bit boring, oh, these students are going to crush this dude. Like these students are going to crush this speaker so bad. And we're going to have to come in and be like, quiet down, students, quiet down. And so they're terrified of that. And so if you're reaching out to high schools and even to colleges, you have to focus on things like that. If you're reaching out to corporate, they're thinking, we don't want this person to cuss. Like we don't want this person to offend people. We want them to be, PC, politically correct. That's what they're thinking inside of their brains. And so, you got to truly understand your audience, because that's how you're going to really reach out to them and market to them and emphasize. Those are things you're going to emphasize. So I'm just about done here. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you ask and I'll go to the questions. So this in terms of understanding your audience, like here I put meeting planners, they're not saying things like, I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to learn how to build an Instagram following. I want to learn how to, whatever your expertise is. They're not saying that. That's not what they're saying inside of their head. They're simply saying, I want to bring in a speaker who's going to bring the house down. I want to bring in a speaker who's going to, where people just come in and just say like, damn, that was one of the best speakers we've ever had. That's what's going on inside of their brains. They're not thinking in terms of the problem you solve in terms of losing weight, building an Instagram audience, doing Facebook ads. They're not interested in that. That's not what they're focused on. So this is why I tell people what you want to do is like go to websites like bizbash.com, actually read articles by real meeting planners, real people who are hiring real speakers. Read those articles, not stuff about speakers whose speakers are talking about other speakers. Don't do that. Don't follow other speakers. Follow real meeting planners and look to see what are they posting, what are they talking about, and then you'll get inside of their brains. And so ultimately what the meeting planners are thinking about is how do I know the speaker's great? That's really what they're thinking about. How do I know the speaker's great? That's why they're looking at your videos, your website, and all that sort of stuff. With conferences, so like let's say Google is hiring a speaker, a motivational speaker for their annual Christmas party. They're thinking along the lines of, all right, we want some speaker who's going to bring the house down, going to entertain everybody, going to do a great job, inspire the troops, inspire the team, help with the culture. That's what they're thinking. Then on the other hand, you have the conferences. The conferences, they're thinking things like, hey, does this person bring people to the event? Like how big of a name is this person? If we put them on the agenda, will people see them and recognize them and say, oh, I want to come just because of them? So it's like they see Richard Branson. They're like, oh man, shoot, I got to get a ticket to this event just because Richard Branson's there. So conferences are thinking along those lines. That's the first thing conferences think of, by the way. Conferences are not thinking of content. Sure, they're aware of content. I want to say that they're aware of content, but that is not the first thing they think about. The first thing they think about is selling tickets to the damn conference. The way they know they're going to sell, well, that's not first thing. That's a first, second, and last thing they're thinking about with conferences. So with conferences, they're thinking in terms of getting butts in seats. That's literally what they're thinking about. So if you literally focus your entire business around conferences and you literally said everything was about getting people to events, then I guarantee you would be the most in-demand speaker in conferences ever. If you literally said, here's my expertise is fitness, I help people lose weight. And then on your website, like you said that on your website, but at the same time, you said, look, if you hire me, if you bring me into your conference, I will practically fill the room. That's literally what I'm going to do. I'm going to promote the hell out of this. I'm going to spend money on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads. I'm going to promote your event with my own money and get butts in the seats at your event. I guarantee people will bring you into their conference. Guarantee. That's what you do when you truly understand the mindset of the people who are hiring you. So the way you're getting gigs consistently is just understanding the buyer's mind. Now, if you said the same thing to, let's say, Google, they're hosting their annual Christmas party. You're like, dude, I'm going to promote the hell out of your event. I'm going to do Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, whatever I need to do. They're going to think like, we don't really need that. All we do is send out a single email to everybody in the company and bam, we have thousands of people show up. So it wouldn't make sense to them because they're two different markets. So that's why To get gigs consistently, you have to truly, truly understand what's going on inside of the brains of the people who are going to hire you. Then you have to understand that the key is consistent activity. That is the key to everything. Everything you want to do, whether get on stage, building a personal brand, everything you want to do is consistent activity. You simply find what works and you keep doing it over and over and over again. When you're bored, when you don't feel like it, you do it over and over and over again. You find what works and keep doing it over and over and over again. And eventually you're going to get really good at it. And then bam, before you know it, bam, you got 50, 70 gigs a year. That's literally what I did. In the beginning, it was just over and over and over again, sending out emails over and over and over again every single day. I'm like, I don't feel like doing it today. Did it anyways, over and over and over again. And you got to understand what's going to happen to you mentally. Mentally, you're going to get bored, for one. So you're going to get bored. Two, you're going to have self-doubt because it's not going to happen quick. And when I say quick, I mean it's probably not going to happen for 2-3 months. That's what I mean. You will get replies and, well, not 2-3 months. Everything depends on your website. So if you have a great website, it's only going to take you like Maggie, she did 3 gigs in 3 weeks. So it happened really, really quick if you build a great website. But for most people, they don't build a great website to begin with, which is why it doesn't happen really quick. So everything really does come down to consistency. So let's see if there were any questions. So you said, how do I become faster at the reaching out process? Yes, I do have a CRM, and now using Yesware, I find my speed is slower than when I was reaching out by hand. Any pro tips to get faster? And so you say, yes, you have, all right. So yeah, so inside the Speak Pro Academy, there actually is a whole video on doing it faster. Like literally a whole video. Go into the Event Finder section. There's a whole video on that. What the mindset in terms of doing things faster is getting more focused. And what I mean by that is being very singular about what you're doing. So here's an example. So let's say you find an event and you see there's on the contact page, there's 2 things. One, there can be an email address, or 2, there can be a contact form, or it can be a contact form and an email address, but I'm just going to say either email address or a contact form. What most people will do is they'll treat those the same. So they'll sit there, they'll copy and paste the email address in the CRM, contact them later. They'll say, okay, I don't know, let me just contact them now. What I did is I treated them very differently. I simply said, okay, I'll copy and paste this email address, put it into the CRM, and I'll do it through Yesware in just a second. And with these ones, I simply did a tag. I created a tag inside the CRM saying contact form, so I knew to come back to them later. So that way, it was just a matter of I'm only going to focus on these ones that have the email addresses. I'm going to do that for now. Once I send those emails out, I'm going to come back to these with a contact form, and I'm only going to talk to the contact form people. So that's what I would do. And let's say, for example, finding events. What most speakers do with finding events, they'll Google the event. They'll do some sort of keyword search, look at the event. They'll click on the link to the website. They'll look around the website. They'll find the event. They'll look at the email. They'll find the email address, and then maybe they'll contact the event as well at the same time. I didn't do any of that. I just split everything up. I literally said, all right, I'm going to Google this based on award banquet, whatever keyword I put in. I'm going to Google it. I'm simply going to copy the name of the actual event or the company name, whichever one. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to copy the URL. Bam, I'm going to move on to the next one. That's literally all I did. I took the minimum amount that my CRM would allow me to save a lead. I took the minimum amount, put it inside the CRM, and then I moved on to the next one. All I wanted was the actual website so I could come back later and get the emails. So then all of a sudden, let's say I got a huge list of websites from 90 minutes. I got a huge list of websites. I would then go back for the next however 90 minutes, and I'll find all the emails on those websites. Now, it may sound like it may sound stupid to where it's like, why would you just only find the websites and then go back to find the emails? That doesn't make any sense. Why don't you you're on the website, why don't you just grab the email as well? It's just a matter of focus. And that's what it comes down to. Because when you're only focusing on one thing, you have blinders on. So it's very similar to when you see ads on the computer, on a website, you have blinders on to those ads. It's almost like you don't see them. Like your eyes, I don't know what happened. Like you just instantly realize it's an ad and it doesn't really register in your brain. It's like you don't read it, nothing. You glance, like you're reading something, poof, an ad pops up or something, or like to the side, you see ads on the side. You don't actually, they're there, but you don't, it's like your focus is here. And so by doing that, you just get more focus and you just go faster. So that's essentially what you do in terms of going faster. You focus on one thing, ignore everything else. And so, like I said, there's a whole video inside of Event Finder on that, and you can actually see what I'm doing with that. But that's how you go faster. So let's see. You said don't bag on Smog Angeles. You're doing a great. Oh, all right. So let's see. Same with Miami. Everyone is a 30 dillionaire, living a millionaire, but making 30K is a joke. Living with their parents. Yeah, it's the whole thing. Like, I think when people say the fake it till you make it, maybe I'll make a whole video on this. I just think people forget to make it. So people are faking it. They just forget the purpose of what they're doing. It's like you don't fake it just to fake it. You fake it to make it. There's a reason why you do it. And so that's why, like, people in LA, I guess now in Miami as well, they're just doing it all wrong. All right, so let's see. You said, I knew a millionaire in LA, successful, but yeah, never know from his house, cars, or clothes. Yeah, like literally, actually, I even told my friends, I said, look, I said, here's how you know when I have a boatload of money, like 100 million or more. I said, when you see me driving an Audi, like like an Audi from a year ago, that's when you know I got like 100 million or more. You're not going to see me driving a Lamborghini and none of that stuff. You're going to see me driving a regular Audi, if that. And you're going to be like, oh, damn, Benji's rich as like that. That's what I told my friends. Because the only way people can actually tell I have money right now is just with the high rise. It's the only way people can say, oh, he probably has some money. Other than that, I don't even have a car right now, nothing. So people, I mean, most people, they shouldn't really be able to tell you have money. And maybe I'll make a whole other video on that. When people know you have money, you just got a target on your back. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like people knowing how much money I make. Let's see. Joe said, what is the best way to find speaking gigs? The best way to find speaking gigs is you sit down for 30 minutes. You come up with a huge list of keywords to find speaking gigs in terms of, like, what are the names of events? So like award banquet, gala. So you sit down for 30 minutes, come up with keywords like that. Award banquet, gala, meeting profs. You sit down, go into Google Docs, come up with this list, and then bam, you just Google those keywords. That's the best way to find events. And so if you're a Speak Pro member, you just go into Speak Pro Academy. There's actually a whole list of hashtags and keywords you can use. But the reason why I notice people can't find speaking gigs is because they don't sit down and think about it. All you have to do is sit down and think about it. Literally sit down and say, well, what are people typing into Google? Like, in terms of what's the name of the event? If I were to type in marketing conference, bam. That's it. If I were to type in event, bam, all this stuff pops up. If I were to type in annual employee event, bam, all this stuff pops up. And so the reason why speakers aren't finding events is because they're just not thinking, literally, like just not thinking. And on top of that, not doing. So this is such a, it's a question where, if you were to just do it, so literally, Joe, Google annual employee event. You will literally find millions of events. Bam, there you go. You have now, through one keyword, you've now found millions of events that you can contact. So when people tell me I can't find events, I'm like, that's because you're not thinking. You simply say, what exactly would someone type into Google? What are the names of events? Things like that. You sit down and you just say, all right, I can Google meeting planner. I can Google annual employee event. And on top of that, what you can do on Google, this is what I do. So let me just type in award banquet. Show you guys the screen real quick. So like here, so not only, look, I found 72 million events just by typing award banquet. So what I also do is I don't just type that in. I'll go to images, but what I also do, I'll go over here to the tools and I'll go here where it says anytime and I'll click on like the past year and then it'll show like past year's events. I'll click here past month and it'll show past month events. So different events pop up. So all this stuff is popping up. So when someone tells me I can't find events, I'm just thinking that's because you don't understand the process. And on top of that, what's happening when someone doesn't know how to find events, they're including everything into one. So it's not how do I find events. They're basically asking how do I get hired. and they're using the question of how do I find events, and what it translates to is how do I get hired. So what I'm saying by that is when you include it all into one, you don't think in terms of contacting is finding. When you Google award banquet, all those events pop up. I'm going to now contact each and every one of those events. I don't know a damn thing about their events. I don't know if they hire speakers. I don't know if they pay speakers. I don't know if they're going to hire me. I have no idea. All I'm going to do is contact them and figure it out. I'm going to say, hey, do you guys hire speakers? That's literally what I'm going to do. And so the reason why so many speakers struggle is because they don't understand the process of contacting is finding. When you contact, you're qualifying. Finding events, like I said, Google the words award banquet, you now found 72 million events. Google the word annual employee event, you now found however many events pop up there. So that's all you do to actually find events. So let's see, Nick said, lots of marketing books on Scribd is worth $8 subscription price. It craps me up that people commit themselves to wasting money on Netflix, but won't invest in actual knowledge. Yep, exactly. Yep. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't mind now. Like, I'm like, shoot, to me, it's just a matter of when people don't do it, the level of, or the competition, the game is easier. So, it's like right now, there's so much content that's out there right now, like just a ton of freaking content. But the people who aren't paying to learn to do it the right way, they're simply wasting their time. They're just producing content. They don't know how to do what they do. And so that just means, hey, more business for me. That's all it really means. And so when people aren't willing to invest, I'm just like, well, it's just going to take you a long time, and it just means more business for the people who know how to do it right. He said, what about associations and chambers? What are they looking for in a speaker? I mean, same things in terms of, basically the corporate market, very, very similar in terms of just entertainment pretty much. But what you're ultimately doing when you're contacting associations and chambers, it's like any event that you're contacting. You're trying to figure out what they're really looking for. So even when you contact companies, there are certain things they're looking for. There's certain basics that every company is looking for. In fact, every event is looking for a really great speaker. It doesn't matter if it's a conference or an annual employee event. It doesn't matter. They all want a great speaker. But there are small details in there that if you look for, then you'll find. And so what you're doing in terms of when you contact them and when they respond, that's when you dig deeper. So if I'm not going to sit there and really dig deep into an event where I don't know they're truly interested in me. And so the more interest they express in me, the more I give back in terms of interest. So I'm not going to sit there and literally spend 10 minutes on someone's website and just literally look around and think about names to include in the outreach. None. I'm not going to do any of that stuff until they respond to my email saying, oh yeah, well, what do you charge? At that moment, I'm going to go to their website and spend more time on their website and look around and try to figure out their budget and all sorts of stuff. I'm going to spend way more time on that person than everyone else. And so that's what you're doing when you contact even associations, chambers of commerce. In the beginning, you contact them the same way you would anyone. Hey, who hires speakers? And the ones that express interest, you now express more interest, and you're now looking to see what exactly are they looking for. And even then, you can even ask them like, hey, what do you looking for? But I do want to stress this. When you do ask people what they're looking for or what do they want, things like that, you have to take it with a grain of salt. This is something I just found out this today. I don't know if you guys have seen that Apple commercial back in I don't know when it was released. Was it in 1984? No, it wasn't. Was Apple even? No, I don't think they were around that long. Really. Basically, it was that commercial, the most famous Apple commercial of all time. In fact, this is considered one of the most famous commercials of all time, not just Apple's commercial. So what happened was they did a group study thingamajigger, where you get the people together and you're like, what do you guys think of this? And so it was the worst commercial that people rated of all time. Or no, I think it was the worst in a decade. So when people are sitting down in the group session and they're critiquing this commercial, they have a score to it. And apparently a normal score, like just regular, is 29. Anything above that is like, wow, this commercial's gonna be the bomb. Apple's commercial got a 5. And so a 5 is basically, oh, hell no, we're not, just delete everything we just did, get rid of this damn thing. Oh, hell no. That's what a 5 is. And so the guy, he saw this and he doesn't believe in the whole marketing research. He saw the 5, he just threw it out. He's like, no, whatever. He didn't give it to Steve Jobs. He didn't give it to the people at Apple. He just threw it away. He said, no, whatever. And it just so happens it is now the most famous commercial of damn near all time. It is Apple's famous commercial. I think it's the most famous commercial of all time. And so that's why you don't want to pay too much attention when you ask someone things like, oh, what are you looking for? Things like that. If you were to ask a meeting planner in terms of a conference and they say, hey, we want to bring you in and we want you to talk about marketing. You say, well, what exactly are you like really looking for? Is it content or are you looking for more entertainment? They will never say we're looking for entertainment. They'll never say that. And so on the other hand, that's exactly what they're looking for. They don't want a boring ass speaker. And then they won't tell you we want speakers who can bring people in. Like they won't tell you that. Hey, we're going to hire celebrities who can just bring people in to the event. They won't tell you that stuff. They'll just say, oh, what we're really looking for is someone who can provide really, really like tons of value, just really great content. That's what they're going to tell you. So you have to take it with a grain of salt when people tell you what they want and things like that. All right. So it's not considered spam. All right. She said, what can you include in the subject line of your email so that it gets open? You simply include the name of their event. That's all you do. Just whatever the name of their event is, that's what you include. All right. So these Facebook ads and Twitter ads aggravate me. So Wani said, that's what's slowing me down. I'm putting in all the info into the CRM, such as the event date, contact info, etc. Yeah. So that's why I keep telling people like, hey, you guys got to join the Speak Pro Academy because small details like that, it really does matter. I see it all the time. But what's happening when people are reaching out to events, when they're prospecting, they do too many things at once. That's why they can only find 20 events in a day. Like in a whole day, they only found 20 events. It's just because they're doing it the wrong way. So that's why I tell people like there's so much you don't know and so much you don't know that you don't know. Which is why when you're not in the Speak Pro Academy, you end up doing damn near everything wrong. But what Wani's doing is what most people aren't doing. Most people aren't even contacting events. Literally, I guarantee you there's people watching this who've been watching me for 6 months, a year, and they still haven't contacted more than 100 events. Guarantee there's people like that right now. And so Wani's actually contacting events, even if he's not doing it the way Speak Pro Academy members are doing it in terms of like Dave and all that and like really like you know how to really get all the details. The fact that Wani's contacting people, he's doing what most people aren't doing. Like I said, most people, they're not even contacting people. So it's just a matter of the consistency. So let's see. All right. So he said, how big is the faith-based market? Well, the faith-based market, you got to think, are they actually paying people to come in? So, I mean, it's a big market in terms of, I mean, churches are everywhere, right? So it's a huge market. But then you got to ask yourself how many speakers are getting paid or preachers are getting paid in terms of actually going to the event and getting paid to be there. If anything, they might be saying like, dude, we're a church. Come on, man. Where's your heart? We're a church, man. It's like, dude, what did you do last year? Like $1 million as a pastor? Psh, come on, man. You can't spare freaking $5,000 for me. So, the faith-based market is a huge, huge market, but it's one of the things where, once again, you got to ask yourself how many people are getting paid in that market. So that's the biggest thing I would ask. Multi-billion a year. It's about charisma marketing. Yep. So to find events, Google sites that sell event tickets. All right, so let's see. Assad said, if you get the event planner for the event, what is your first email to them? So once again, I just say, are you the person in charge of hiring the speakers? So it's just a matter of, in the beginning, I say, hey, who hires speakers? And if it's not them, most of the time it's them. So when you send the email out, hey, who's in charge of hiring the speakers? They're like, I am. If it's not them, then and they say, oh, it's Assad who's in charge of the speakers. Instead of me just pitching them directly, I'll say, hey, Assad, I got your email from Nick. Nick said you're the person in charge of hiring speakers. Is that right? That's all I'll do. And then when they respond, yeah, that's me. Okay, cool. Well, I'm the greatest speaker in the world. And that's what I do. All right. So you said, to clarify, I know what to ask first when I find the event, but I'm confused about what to ask when you find the event planner first. So like once again, I think I answered it. It may have just came in a little bit late, but that's basically what I'm doing. So when I find the meeting planner, when I will always send an email asking who hires the speakers when I know with 100% certainty that they do. Literally, if I know 100% certainty this person, Assad, hires the speakers, I will still say, hey, Assad, I was looking at your event. I was wondering who hires the speakers for your event. I will literally say that. It doesn't matter if I know or not. And so that's literally what I'm doing. All right, so you're working on getting in the academy. Yeah, I'm telling you, Wani, like if you're doing work right now, you're not even in the academy. When you actually join the academy, when you start doing it the right way, it's going to be like an explosion. Like I'm telling you, it's going to be on a whole new level when you actually join the academy. The people, to me, it's pretty impressive when someone watches free videos and they do the work, because it's really, really hard for that self-motivation. It's really, really hard to do that, to just do the work in general. So, Wani, if you're doing the work and you're not even in the Speak Pro Academy, when you actually join, it's going to be on a whole new level. You'll get the support and all that sort of stuff. All right, so we are good to go for today. I will see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So take care, everybody. Adios.